Hi, rich kids. Welcome to our space and to episode 14 in season 2 of the Hot Money Talks podcast. My name is Christine Ishampepe, the money mechanic, and I help you fix your finances. I am on a mission to equip Africa's younger population with adequate financial literacy, advice, and strategy so they can journey to financial freedom and live life purposefully on their own terms and to the fullest, because money is no more a barrier. I want you to live your best life. The Hot Money Talks podcast is a series of honest, open, and transparent money conversations that will guide you on your journey to financial freedom. Here on the podcast, we believe 100% that financial freedom is possible with the right set of knowledge, the right amount of time, and the right circle of people. Today's episode is the third part in a series of episodes that are focusing on the topic of multiple streams of income. In the first episode, we talked about why you should have multiple sources of income. And in the second episode, we talked about how to create multiple sources of income. In today's episode, we will move ahead to discuss how to manage multiple sources of income. Let's delve right into it. How do you manage multiple sources of income? And I'd like to start by offering a disclaimer. As someone who has more than one source of income, I'd just like to say that it is not easy to, manage multiple sources of income. And so don't think that it's just a flex to say, oh, you have multiple sources of income and yet you're not putting in the work. No, there is actually some work and some strategy required to manage multiple sources of income. And I'm going to be sharing with us, a few tips. I like sharing tips. Tips are my thing. Yes, I'll be sharing a few tips on how to manage multiple sources of income. Now that we have a good understanding of why, and then we now know how, we should also know how to manage it, right? So knowing why is important, why you should have multiple sources of income, knowing how to create these multiple sources of income, equally important. And now that we know these two things, we can now, discuss how to now manage it, right? So you have multiple sources of income. How do you find a balance, right? How do you manage it? The first tip I would share is to build a solid team. In other words, ask for help. Asking for help was something I used to struggle with, right? Because I always felt like, oh my God, asking for help was just too difficult for me, right? And I struggled to ask for help a whole lot of times. I didn't know better at that time. Now I do, right? Now I know that asking for help is such an integral part of my life, right? And an integral part of scaling my business, right? And ensuring longevity. Okay, so if you want your business or you want your source of income to last longer, right, then you need to ask for help. And when we're talking about multiple sources of income, that we're not just talking about starting a business, right? There are various sources of income, and in a later episode I will be breaking down the different income streams that we have in the world. So ask for help. If your source of income is something that you cannot handle alone, right? If you need to build a team, build a team. If you need to delegate, delegate. Okay. This is very, very crucial in managing multiple sources of income. Second tip would be focus on building one source of income at a time as much as is possible. Okay. I believe in focus. Right. And I'm saying this because I have learned, from experience. I've tried to do multiple things at once. And not, well, I don't want to say it's impossible. It's just that it doesn't end well all of the time. Okay. It really depends on your capacity, right? But I've learned that focusing on building one source of income at a time, if possible, is key. So that, I believe that, okay, instead of dividing 100%, right? So say you have 100%, right? And then you're dividing your energies across, for example, 5 sources of income at a time. It would mean that you're giving about just 20% of energy to each of them, right? If you're trying to build all 5 at the same time with equal energy, right? But imagine that you focus all of your energies, or maybe divide that 100 into 2, right? And you're building one at a time or two at a time. It is better and wiser and more strategic to do that, right? Because you're able to put in time, you're able to put in effort, you're able to really, really put in all that is needed to build that source of income and build it to the point where it can stand on its own. That is if you really want that source of income to really, last for a really long time. Third tip, know when to shut down a stream and move on. Yes, this is such a crucial matter, right? Not every source of income is going to be forever. And I'm speaking especially to business owners on this one. Not every business will last forever. It is not every business that you start that will be your forever and forever and forever generational wealth business, right? Sometimes we may need to know when to pull the plug on a particular source of income and move on. I have had to do that, right? And I'm saying against business owners because usually I know business owners struggle with shutting down businesses because they feel like, oh my God, I'm giving up. No, I'm a failure. No, it's actually a good business decision to know when a source of income is not doing well and be comfortable with saying, you know what, it is time to move on from this and try something else. Okay? Then have a sustainability plan. This is so important. Have a sustainability plan, right? So how do you intend for this source of income to stay alive, to stay afloat, to keep moving in the next 1 year? What's your 1 year plan? What's your 6 month plan? If I start from there, what is your 1 month plan? What is your 6 month plan? What is your 1 year plan? What is your 5 year plan? What is your 10-year plan? What is your sustainability plan? How do you intend to keep this source of income going? This is so important. And so planning, having a strategic plan for each of your sources of income, right, is very, very important in managing your multiple sources of income. Next tip is create a brand out of each source of income, and this is more focused on businesses, right? So try and brand it. And essentially, what is a brand? A brand is, other people's perception about you, about what you do, and all of that, right? And in this sense, we're saying separate each of these businesses. So we're talking have separate bank accounts, have separate teams if possible, separate social media pages, right? So that each of them can stand on their own, right? I get this question a whole lot of times when especially newbies or enthusiastic new business owners are like, oh my God, I have 5 business ideas, I'm doing 5 businesses or 3 businesses, but then I don't know if I should use my personal page to promote all of them. I'm really confused. And I was there, right? But then what I have come to realize is that if I really want these businesses to stand on their own, right, to stand on their own, not to be dependent only on me, to actually have I don't say have a mind of their own, but like to stand on their own, you get what I mean, right? Then make sure that you create separate brands for each of them. They can be affiliated with you, right? Of course, you can be the face behind the brand if you want. Some people don't even want their face behind each of their, all of their brands. Some people have brands that, they stay away from, visually, like they don't show their faces, but they run those brands, right? So try to separate each source of income so they can stand on their own and grow as a brand. So these are actually the tips that I wanted to share, on how to manage multiple sources of income. But I'll just like to also throw in some other things to note, about creating and managing multiple sources of income. Number 1, leverage on the network that you have. I think that this is so important. Leverage on the network that you have. It is often said that your network equals your net worth, and nothing is farther from the truth than this. Your network is very, very powerful. That's if you have the right network, right? So the right network actually leads to the right net worth. So the question now becomes, who's in your network? Are you in a network of people that can actually enhance your sources of income? This is quite important. So never take for granted the network that you have. Okay? These guys could be the ones that could refer you to opportunities. They could be the ones that could bring you to your desired target audience, your desired customers, okay? They could also provide funding, okay, for your business or for a source of income that you want to create. Just leverage on your network. Don't sleep on it. Secondly, leverage on technology. I believe that technology has really, really taken the burden of a lot of people off, because with technology now we can do so much. With technology, you can sit from the comfort of your home and invest in stocks and shares and buy treasury bills and invest in mutual funds. From the comfort of your home, you can run your online business leveraging technology, right? So you can actually build faster using technology. Okay? You can build faster using technology, and you can manage and create multiple sources of income using technology. You can be an author from the comfort of your home. How cool is that? You can create courses from the comfort of your home, host them, and get paid. Creating other sources of income for yourself, leveraging on technology. The third thing I'd like to share is get experts to do the work. That's what actually wealthy people do. Yeah, they get experts. So build your sources of income to a point where you can actually pay experts to do the work, right? And even at the beginning stages, if you need to get experts like coaches, right, and other people who have more knowledge in certain areas. If you're starting a business and you are clueless, get a business coach. Invest in actually getting a business coach. You will avoid many more potholes than if you try to do it on your own, and that will enable you again to build faster. Okay? Leverage on OPM. That's the fourth point. And what is OPM? Other people's money. And this can be connected to the first point I shared, leveraging on the network that you have. Yes. To leverage on other people's money. Learn how to actually leverage on other people's money. That's what the rich do. Yes. So they leverage on using other people's money to build, right? And everybody wins, to be very honest. They win, and the people whose money they're using, they all win. So leverage on other people's money. Know how to use, other people's money to get what you want, and also, to also get them to benefit in the process, to give value to them. Okay? And then the fifth and final thing I'd like to share is don't just focus on active income alone. Leverage on passive income. You know what passive income does for you? It saves you time and it saves you effort. So I would always say that your active income here, it requires your time, requires your effort, requires you to exert physical energy usually, right? So let's say, for example, you are a banker, right? And so you have to go to the bank every day, Monday to Friday. You're there attending to customers, solving problems. And, by the weekend, you really just want to unwind. So a banker might not have the leverage of saying, oh, I want to go and open a shop, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, because, okay, their active income is taking most of their time. However, a banker, while doing their banking job, can take time to write a book, put it on, a platform, and while doing his or her banking job is getting alerts from his or her books being sold. How cool is that? Or they can offer consultancy services. Okay, on the weekends, people just book them for their available times, and they offer such services, right? They can do so much. They can, put their money into passive income, into building passive income. So while they are, expending time and energy in their active income, they're still eating their cake and having it in the sense that they have, leveraged on passive income. So passive income saves you time and effort. And so in whatever you do, don't focus your energies on active income alone. Ensure that you are leveraging on passive income. I hope that today's discussion has been, insightful. I am a huge advocate of everyone having more than one source of income. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Relying on one source of income is a risky way to live. I hope that is not the kind of risk you are taking. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Hot Money Talks podcast. If you have listened to this point, then it means you have gotten value. Don't keep it to yourself. Go ahead and share the link to this episode with someone you want to see win with their finances this year. It would mean the world to me if you took a few minutes to leave me a review in the comment section of this podcast so that others can see your endorsement and join the community of listeners who enjoy this podcast. Don't forget that new episodes of the Hot Money Talks podcast drop every Saturday, and you can listen to them on your favorite podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Subscribe and follow the show on either of these platforms so that you are notified whenever an episode is released. Recommendations are powerful, so please tell your friends and family about this podcast so we can go on this journey together. To connect with me on other platforms, do well to follow The Money Mechanic at The Money Mechanic page on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I hope most importantly that you will take action on your finances today. Sending you love, sending you light, and a sprinkle of money in between.